Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mr. Sargent here with your Day 49 recap video for ELA and for science. Now, we're wearing red today because today marks day one of our Red Ribbon Week. And ladies and gentlemen, it was great seeing all of you today dressing red, supporting a drug-free lifestyle. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for participating. Tomorrow, we will have another activity that, well, much like our red shirts here, that will show that we are planning to be drug-free. Today in ELA, we're going to continue with context clues. We're going to do some activities. You have a little bit of homework to do tonight. And in science, we're going to learn and discover about, well, discovery, where we're going to be learning about materials and how they're used in our world. So stay tuned. So we're going to start today by talking a little bit more about clues. Now, when we're talking about context clues, we're looking for words that help us understand the meaning of unknown words. So our learning target for this week in ELA is going to be figuring out the meanings of important words in a text. Will help you better understand the topic. And ladies and gentlemen, this is true. And this is why we find clues in almost everything that we read. Now, if you want to find more information about how to identify context clues, I highly suggest looking at Day 48's video. I taught an in-depth lesson on 4 different ways that we can identify context clues in our passage. Sometimes you're going to find synonyms. Sometimes you're going to find antonyms. Sometimes you're going to use your prior knowledge. And with prior knowledge, it's what you already know about the topic. We started today by talking about, well, what's going on behind me, and that is jumbo jets. We talked about our experiences on flying in a plane. We talked about a number of good experiences that we've had and some that were not so good, whether it be turbulence or our ears not popping and things like that. So we then read a story called Taking Flight on a Jumbo Jet by Catherine Thomas. So let's go ahead and read that together now. Taking Flight on a Jumbo Jet by Catherine Thomas. Airplanes carry people all over the world. Flying safely from place to place is a big job. It takes a whole team of people to do it. The team is called an air crew. It is headed by a captain. The captain of an airplane is also the pilot. The pilot controls how high and fast the planes fly. The first officer is the co-pilot. That person takes over if the captain needs to rest. There is also a flight engineer who controls the engines to make sure everything is working. Passengers ride in the cabin of the plane. The cabin crew is made up of flight attendants. Their main job is to help passengers travel safely. They show passengers what to do if there is trouble with the plane. They help passengers store their baggage. They also serve passengers food and drinks. Air crews take people on thousands of flights each day. Though passengers may not notice, the crews are always hard at work. So what we're going to do next is take a look at the story a little bit closer. Now, in every paragraph, there's at least one word that we may struggle with. Well, those words that we struggle with, we can actually find the meaning of within the story. This is what the whole context clue idea is. So let's take a look at our first paragraph again. The first word that I want you to look at is air crew. Now, I've never heard of the word air crew before. So if we underline it and we take a look around it, we should be able to find the meaning of what an air crew is. Now, if you look 4 words before it, we have the word team. Well, you think about what a team is. Well, a team is a group of people that work together, right? What is an air crew? Well, it's just a team. Now, that one was pretty easy. Now, if we take a look at paragraph 2, we have the word engineer. Now, this is one of those hard words where we may think we know what an engineer is, but there's actually clues within the passage. If we keep looking, well, Look at that last sentence. Controls the what? Engines. So there are our clues. When we're talking about an engineer, this is someone that controls the engines. Now, without the engines, did the planes even fly? Absolutely not. So these engineers are, well, they're an important part of that flight crew or that team. All right, let's take a look at paragraph 3 real quick. All right, we have the word attendance. Now, we may think of attendance as being in school on time. Well, that's not the right attendance. Now, in this case, we have the cabin crew is made up of flight attendants. Well, what does an attendant do? Well, let's take a look at the next sentence because we may find the answer in the story. Their main job is to help passengers travel safely. So when we look at the word attendants, their main purpose is to help people. Using some of the sentences that surround the word, we're able to find the meaning. That's context clues, ladies and gentlemen. All right? And finally, we have in the last paragraph the word passenger. Now, we may already know what a passenger is, but there are clues throughout this entire story. So if you take a look at that last paragraph, there's one word that describes passengers, and that is, well, people. Passengers are just people who take flights, who go on a trip. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, there may be a few words that we don't know or we don't understand, but if we look at the words around it, then we're going to have an easy time. Now, you can find your homework today on Google Classroom. All you have to do is log under Google Classroom and find the assignment called Context Clues Activity Day number 1. Okay, and now with this activity, what's really cool about it is you can circle your answers right on the activity and send them back to me digitally. I look forward to seeing how you did, and if you have any questions, feel free to bring them back to me in class tomorrow. Now, on to some science. Today in science, I introduced our class to the new science curriculum, which I am so excited about. Now, Discovery Education gives us a chance to be a little bit more interactive with science, as well as have some great resource to find information, to read stories, to do lessons on these different science topics. Now, our focus this week is going to be on materials and matter, realizing that there's matter. Well, matter makes up pretty much everything on the planet, doesn't it? But different materials make up different matter, and different matter make up different materials as well. So what we're going to be focusing on this week is the interactive lesson that we can find called Looking Closer at Things Around Us. And one thing that I am really excited about is the interactive aspect to the Discovery Education. Now, what we're able to do here is take a look at a few questions and a few matching activities where you have to read the story first and read the information first in order to solve them. But they present some great questioning and some great ideas. Like, my favorite part right here is thinking about materials. And the question is, what do you know about using materials? Look over the statement below and pick the ones that are true. So you're going to have more than one answer here. And if we look through, let's try to decide which ones are true and which ones are not. A, the glass of a windshield on a motorcycle is not a man-made material. Well, is that true or false? Well, glass doesn't happen too often naturally. And the material that we're using to build windshields, especially on motorcycles, are definitely man-made. So we wouldn't click this one for one of our true answers. How about B? Materials make up the things around us. Well, if you just paid attention to about a minute ago what I just said, materials make up things, everything around us, you know that this statement is true. So on your activity page, what you would do is probably pick B as a true answer. Now, are we done after that? No, there's more than one true statement in here. So as you were reading through here, try to decide which ones are man-made and which ones are not. Now, if you're still unsure about what the difference between man-made materials and natural materials, think about it this way. When we're building a home, if you think about it, we use a lot of natural materials. We use wood, we use some stone to help build the homes, but there are a lot of man-made materials such as plastic, rubber, and things like that that we use to build these homes. Now, these are man-made. They don't happen in nature. You cannot find a plastic tree, outside. These are all things that are man-made. So when you're deciding the difference between a man-made material and a natural material, ask yourself, can I find it outside? Now, before we end class today, a couple shout outs for all of you. First of all, I want to shout out Adelie and Chloe, as well as Jayla, who sent me pictures of their experiment from last week. Ladies and gentlemen, this right here is what I'm talking about. I love seeing your work. I love it when you're doing the science experiments. And you know what? Hopefully you had some fun while doing these. One thing to prepare for this week's assignment is this. We're going to be focusing on architecture this week. So if you can do some research on just what architecture is, as well as the resources and materials needed for architecture, you might have an easier time with this week's project. So, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know what your homework is tonight. Good luck. If you have any questions, message me. And until I get to see you again, I hope you have a great, great night.